imagine you're navigating this dark, dense forest, right? Like right in the middle of the night.
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
Right. And you're carrying this incredibly heavy weight. And really, all you're looking for is a single, clear signpost to point you towards safety. But
Let me guess, the signs are in a language you don't even understand,
exactly that. Or they're, hidden behind overgrown bushes.
which is just, frankly, the absolute last thing you need when you're already exhausted
Yeah.
and emotionally overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are looking at exactly how independent funeral directors can actually be that clear signpost in the dark.
It's such a crucial topic.
It really is. We're exploring the science of on-page SEO, specifically tailored for those exact moments when families are the most vulnerable.
Right.
And this entire breakdown is driven by some, honestly, phenomenal keyword research and strategy guides from Independent Funeral Marketing, or IFM.
Yeah, the IFM data is fantastic, and we really need to set the stage here for why this specific niche is so unique, because this is not your standard local SEO.
Right. We're not talking about ranking a coffee shop here.
No, not at all.
Right.
Or a plumber. Funeral homes actually fall into a very specific, heavily monitored Google classification. It's called Your Money or Your Life.
Wow.
Yeah, SEO professionals usually refer to it as YMYL.
Your money or your life. I mean, that is a really intense label for a search algorithm.
It is, but it's intense by design. Because think about it. Families in this situation are making significant financial decisions.
Well, under immense emotional distress.
Exactly. So Google holds these websites to a much, much higher standard. Quality, accuracy, trustworthiness. They actually employ human quality raters, like real people, to evaluate these sites and train their algorithms.
Right. Really? Human raters.
Yeah. Because if a search engine serves up, poor quality or misleading info to someone in a vulnerable state, the real-world harm is severe. So the algorithm is intentionally ruthless about filtering out the low-quality sites.
Which means, I guess, our mission today is to translate these highly technical SEO tasks into plain English.
Right.
Because the non-technical staff, the actual funeral directors running the business, they need to be able to implement this stuff. Getting this right isn't about gaming some system.
No, definitely not.
It's about ensuring you're actually visible to a family at the exact moment they need help the most.
Exactly.
So before we even get to the website itself, they have to, actually see your signpost. We have to start with the digital storefront.
Yeah, and I'd actually take that a step further.
Yeah.
The storefront is arguably the most critical friction point. We're talking about how your page actually appears in the Google search results before anyone even clicks a link.
Okay, so like the blue text and the little description.
Right. And the data from IFM shows something crazy. Google actually rewrites about 60% of title tags because businesses structure them so poorly.
Wait, 60%. Google is just throwing out their titles and writing new ones.
Yeah, more than half the time. Because businesses are just cramming them full of keywords. Or, on the flip side, they're way too vague.
Oh, wow. So how do we fix that?
Well, there's a surprisingly simple formula to fix it. It really comes down to understanding how human eyes and search crawlers both process information.
Okay, what's the formula?
It's just 3 parts. Primary keyword, followed by your location, followed by your brand name.
That's it.
That's it. So something like cremation services in Oxford, then a little vertical bar, Smith & Sons.
Oh, I see. So you're front-loading the most important info.
Precisely. Google's algorithm puts slightly more weight on the words at the very beginning of the title tag.
Makes sense.
And simultaneously, human eyes scan search results from left to right. When someone is stressed, they're just scanning for the service they need in the town they're in.
So you just give them that instantly.
And you keep it under 60 characters so Google doesn't chop the end off. And you just ensure every single page on your site has a unique tag following that exact pattern.
Okay, got it. So underneath that blue link is the meta description. You have about, 140 to 155 characters here to convince them to click?
Roughly, yeah.
What fascinated me in the sources was the psychological approach here, because traditional marketing hype is, well, it's not just ineffective, it's actively damaging.
Oh, completely.
Like, you do not want to say, #1 premier funeral home, click here for the best deals.
No, please don't do that. That language immediately alienates someone in distress. It feels so transactional.
Right.
What the IFM strategy recommends instead is a quiet CTA, a quiet call to action.
I love that phrase. Quiet CTA.
Yeah, just a gentle, supportive prompt. Something like simple, dignified, and fully guided. call us to arrange a time to speak.
Oh, that's much better.
Right. It tells them exactly what to do next without any pressure. It establishes your empathetic tone before they even land on your website.
Now, what if an independent funeral director listens to this? They go look at their current website and they realize their actual web addresses, like their URLs, are a total
Like
mess.
long strings of numbers or weird dates.
Exactly. The instinct is probably just to go into the back end and, rename the URL to something clean, like /funeral-services-Bristol.
Oh boy. Yeah, and that instinct leads to a massive, critical technical error. I see it destroy organic traffic every single day.
Because changing a live ranking URL without setting up a 301 redirect is basically, well, it's like moving your funeral home to a brand new building across town, but forgetting to put a forwarding address on the old door.
That is the exact mechanism at play. You instantly lose all your built-up ranking equity.
Wow. All of it.
Pretty much. Every family or search engine crawler that tries to visit the old address just hits a 404 dead-end page.
Yikes. So what does the 301 redirect actually do?
The 301 redirect is your digital forwarding address. It seamlessly hands the algorithmic authority of the old URL over to the new one, so you don't lose that trust you've built up over the years.
Okay, so let's assume the digital storefront is optimized, right? The title is clear, the description is that quiet, empathetic CPA, the URL is clean.
Perfect.
The searcher clicks the link, they are on the page. But here's the tension. How do we balance an algorithm that's just crawling for data points with a grieving family looking for comfort?
It's a great question. And what's fascinating is that those two audiences actually want the exact same thing.
Really? How so?
They both want clarity, relevance, and helpful structure. The strategy for optimizing individual service pages, and I mean separate dedicated pages for burial, cremation, memorial, pre-need planning, it all relies on semantic hierarchy.
Okay, let's unpack that term a bit. Semantic hierarchy. What does that actually mean for the person building the page?
It just means using your heading tags correctly. You need exactly one H1 heading at the very top of the page. And it has to name the service and the location.
Just one H1.
Just one. Then your H2 headings, which are the subheadings down the page, those should be formatted as the real questions families actually ask.
Like an FAQ style?
Sort of, yeah. Think, what happens during an arrangement meeting? Or what are the costs for cremation in Bristol?
Okay, so from the user's perspective, it just breaks up the text and makes it skimmable.
Exactly.
But from Google's perspective, those H1 and H2 tags act like a table of contents, right?
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head.
It tells the crawler, this is the main topic and here are the subtopics. So the algorithm completely understands the context.
Right. Crawlers use those tags to map the relationships between ideas on your page.
Right.
And to fill out that semantic map, the recommendation is to have about 400 to 700 words of specific, unique content under those headings.
Whoa, okay, I need to stop you there and just play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure, go for it.
I am putting myself in the shoes of someone who just lost a loved one at 2 a.m. 700 words. That feels like a novel.
It sounds like a lot, I know.
If I'm in immediate grief, isn't that just way too much reading? Shouldn't we just give them the phone number at the top of the page and, get out of their way?
It's a very natural concern. It's actually a huge debate in local SEO. But we have to look deeply at the psychology of the searcher in a YMYL context.
Okay.
A person in grief often has a spinning mind. They're awake in the middle of the night wondering, what happens next? What does this actually cost? Who comes to collect my loved one? They are searching for control in an uncontrollable situation.
Ah, I see. So you aren't forcing them to read a novel. You're giving them back a sense of control.
Precisely. If your page answers those specific terrifying questions calmly and thoroughly, their anxiety physically drops. They feel safe.
That makes total sense.
And let's tie that back to the SEO mechanism. When relieved readers stay on your page longer because you actually answer their questions, they don't hit the back button to keep searching.
Right, because they found what they needed.
Exactly. That lower bounce rate and higher time on page sends a massive positive algorithmic signal to Google that your page satisfied the user's query. Helpful content is a literal ranking factor.
Wow. Okay, but writing 700 unique words for a burial page and then another 700 for a cremation page, that takes a lot of time.
It does.
If you're a busy funeral director, it's got to be incredibly tempting to just, copy paste a really beautiful, well-written paragraph across all your service pages and just swap out the word cremation for burial.
Oh, it's tempting. But doing that triggers a massive algorithmic red flag for duplicate
Yeah,
content.
like just from a copy paragraph.
Yep. Search engines are highly efficient. They don't want to index the exact same paragraph 5 times on the same website. When they see copy-pasted text with just 1 or 2 words swapped out, they classify it as thin, templated content.
Ouch.
It devalues the entire website. Every single service page must be unique and specifically about the nuances of that exact service.
Which I guess actually leads us to a pretty fascinating advantage for independent funeral directors over the massive corporate chains.
It definitely does.
When you look at the data, independent homes can consistently outrank those corporate giants if they understand how to use local entities.
This is where local SEO becomes really, really powerful. See, corporate chains often use a master website template. They use software to dynamically swap out the town names for hundreds of locations.
Right, like serving insert city here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's technically proficient, but it feels robotic. And Google knows it's a template. An independent director, though, can use location-specific content to build genuine geographic relevance.
And the mechanism for that isn't just saying we proudly serve Bristol. It's about, linking local landmark references within the text itself.
Yes. You mentioned the specific local crematorium by name. You talk about coordinating with, St. Jude's Parish down the road, or the specific florist on High Street that you frequently work with.
Because an algorithm might not have eyes, but it completely understands entity relationships. So when you associate your funeral home's website with the known digital entities of that church and that crematorium and that florist, Google's local graph just kind of connects the dots.
Right. It verifies, yes, this business is deeply embedded in this specific geographic community.
And just as importantly, the family reading it immediately knows they're dealing with actual locals, not some national call center.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to keep guiding that family, the IFM strategy suggests using an internal linking structure. So about 3 to 8 internal links per page.
And we aren't just using click here as the hyperlink text, right?
No, never. You use descriptive anchor text. If someone is reading your cremation page, you naturally link to your pre-need planning page using text like, learn about our pre-need cremation planning.
Got it. So you're creating this digital pathway that holds their hand through the website, eventually guiding them toward booking a call on your contact page. Okay, so we have empathetic, locally grounded content. But we have to go back to that YMYL classification. Google holds these sites to a higher standard. How does Google actually know we aren't just making things up?
Good question.
Like, how do we prove to an algorithm that we are a legitimate, highly trained professional?
We have to talk about EEAT. That's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Right, ET.
You have to translate human trust into digital signals that crawlers can actually verify. And the best place to execute this is your About Us page. It cannot just be a generic paragraph about how much you care.
It needs to function as a professional credibility document.
Precisely. The IFM Insights specifically mention highlighting staff credentials. So instead of a vague "our team" photo, you need named staff members, real photos of them, the exact year the business was established.
And explicit UK accreditations, right, like memberships in the National Association of Funeral Directors or the British Institute of Embalmers.
Yes, those accreditations are vital trust signals. If you have them, put the badges on the page.
Yeah.
But remember, that is for human eyes. Algorithms can read text, sure, but they appreciate absolute certainty.
Which brings us to the code.
Right. To literally code trust into your website, we need to talk about schema markup.
Yeah.
Specifically in the JSON LD format.
Okay, JSON LD, that sounds incredibly intimidating. What are we actually talking about here?
I know, it's a mouthful. It stands for JavaScript Object Notation for Linked Data. But really, just think of it as handing Google a highly specific filing cabinet.
I like that. A filing cabinet instead of just a scattered desk.
Exactly. Normally, a crawler has to read your page and guess. It sees a string of digits and has to deduce, is this a phone number, a business license, or tax ID?
Right.
Schema markup is just a snippet of code hidden in the background of your website. It doesn't change how the page looks to a human at all. But it takes that string of digits and puts it directly into a digital folder explicitly labeled phone number. It just removes all the guesswork for the algorithm.
So for a funeral home, what specific folders, like what schema types are we handing to Google?
You want local business schema, Specifically, there's a funeral home subtype. You place that on your homepage.
Okay.
This explicitly defines your exact business name, your address, your phone number, and your operating hours in a language the machine natively understands.
And what's the second type?
The second vital type is FAQ page schema. You implement this wherever you have a Q&A section on your site.
And this actually brings up a statistic from the research that just absolutely blew my mind.
Let's hear it.
The audience for funeral directors over-indexes heavily on AI platforms like Perplexity by almost 30% compared to average UK users.
It is a staggering shift in search behavior.
Yeah.
And it perfectly illustrates why FAQ page schema is basically non-negotiable today.
Because of the AI.
Right. AI platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google's AI overviews, they don't just read web pages. They actively hunt for structured data to extract factual answers. If you want your independent funeral home to be the one the AI cites, when a user asks a highly specific question about cremation costs, your content has to be structured in those discrete, marked-up Q&A formats.
That is wild. Okay, so we've built this incredibly empathetic, locally optimized page. We have our semantic hierarchy, our filing cabinet of schema data is perfectly organized, and we're establishing deep trust.
It sounds perfect.
But here is the harsh reality. All of that beautiful content is completely useless if the family is sitting in a hospital waiting room with a weak 4G connection and the page simply won't load. Let's talk about the mobile safety net.
Yeah, this is where we transition from content strategy to technical performance. Page speed isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It is a confirmed Google ranking factor.
And they measure this using a set of metrics called Core Web Vitals, right?
Correct, Core Web Vitals. And the reason we focus so heavily on mobile is because of a mechanism called mobile-first indexing.
Which means Google literally fetches the mobile version of your site to determine your ranking, regardless of whether the user is searching on a phone or a desktop.
That is exactly how it works. You can have a stunning desktop site, but if your mobile site is slow or broken, your global ranking just plummets.
So how do we fix it?
To audit this, there is a very simple workflow using a free tool. You just go to Google PageSpeed Insights. You enter your homepage URL, and this is the most critical step. You must explicitly click the mobile tab at the top left of the screen.
Because it defaults to desktop, right?
Yeah.
And that will give you a false sense of security.
Precisely. Desktop scores are almost always higher. Once you run the mobile audit, the tool gives you a prioritized list of issues. It can look a little overwhelming, but you really only need to focus on the top 3 technical recommendations to start.
Okay, what's the main goal there?
The primary goal is to get a specific metric called largest contentful paint, or LCP, under a 2.5-second threshold.
Okay, let's define LCP, because it honestly sounds like a metric from a paint store.
Yeah, it does.
Largest contentful paint is essentially the time it takes for the single largest visual element on the user's screen to fully render. Usually for a funeral home, that's the big hero image of the chapel at the top of the page.
Right. And that hero image is almost always the culprit destroying that 2.5-second threshold.
Really? Just the image?
Just the image. Funeral homes understandably want to show high-quality, comforting photos of their facilities, right? It builds trust. But they upload massive, uncompressed JPEG files directly from a digital camera. Waiting for a 5-megabyte image to load line by line on a 3G network is just agonizing.
So what is the technical fix? Do we just, make the images smaller and blurry?
No, you maintain the visual fidelity, but you change the file format. You need to switch from standard JPEGs to next-generation formats, specifically WebP.
Oh, I love WebP. It's basically like vacuum packing your winter clothes.
Okay, I like that analogy.
It's the exact same bulky jacket. It just takes up a fraction of the space, so you can move it infinitely faster. The compression algorithms are just much more advanced than old JPEGs.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it, honestly. WebP drastically improves mobile performance scores while maintaining the exact same visual quality to the human eye.
Perfect.
And while we're optimizing those images, we have to address alt text.
Right, because search engines cannot see a photo of a chapel. You have to type a description in the back end of the site. But again, we want to avoid keyword stuffing here.
Yes, definitely. The alt text needs to be highly descriptive and under 125 characters.
So no funeral home, best funeral director cremation services.
Please no. Instead, you write, Chapel of Rest at Smith Funeral Home, Bristol. It tells the crawler exactly what the image is, it ties into your local entity strategy, and it doesn't sound manipulative.
Okay, so the page is loading blazing fast, the images are vacuum-packed, the content is empathetic, the family has read everything, and they trust you.
Everything is working.
The next logical step is them actually reaching out. How do we ensure we don't lose them at the very last second when they navigate to the contact page?
The contact page on a mobile device must be completely frictionless. First, ensure the phone number is highly visible and actively clickable.
Oh, yeah. If someone is holding a phone and crying, they should not have to try and highlight, copy, and paste a phone number.
Exactly. It should be a single tap to call. Second, embed an interactive map so they immediately understand your physical proximity to them.
And third, and I know this sounds a bit pedantic, but it's crucial, ensure your NAP details perfectly match what is on your Google business profile.
Right. Name, address, and phone number. Consistency is a huge trust signal for the local algorithm. Even a slight variation like spelling out street on your website but abbreviating it as saint on your Google profile can fracture the algorithmic confidence that you are the exact same entity. Keep it perfectly identical.
I want to end on a structural question for the business owners listening. For a funeral director who is already overwhelmed managing grief, coordinating complex logistics, running a business, why is it so vital that they verify this mobile friendliness themselves? Why not just trust the web developer who built the site 3 years ago?
Because the digital landscape shifts underneath you. And honestly, the web developer is focused on code, not your bottom line. As we discussed, Google evaluates your entire business based on how it functions on a small screen in someone's hand.
Right.
If a grieving family in a hospital waiting room encounters a broken mobile experience, buttons overlapping, text too small to read, images taking 5 seconds to load, they will leave instantly, and Google tracks that abandonment.
Wow.
A broken mobile experience is quite literally a broken business. You have to verify it yourself because your web developer isn't the one losing the call at 2 a.m.
A broken mobile experience is a broken business. That is sobering, but it perfectly encapsulates why we are doing this deep dive. Let's recap the journey we've just taken. We didn't just walk through a technical checklist, we looked at the psychology behind the search.
Yeah, we covered a lot.
We started by creating a clear signpost with structured title tags and quiet CTAs. Then we moved into writing empathetic, semantically structured content that answers real questions to reduce anxiety while avoiding the trap of duplicate copy.
And to build on that, we took that human trust and translated it into digital signals using EEAT principles and JSON LD schema markup, handing Google a perfectly organized filing cabinet.
And finally, we built the mobile safety net, ensuring those WebP images load instantly for families on spotty connections. Whether you are managing a highly sensitive YMYL business like a funeral home, or you're just learning local SEO for another field, the core lesson from the IFM research is incredibly validating.
It really is.
Serving the user's emotional state perfectly aligns with what Google's algorithms actually reward. You don't have to choose between being compassionate and being visible.
That is the ultimate takeaway.
Yeah.
Empathy is good SEO. But, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder regarding where this is all heading.
Okay, let's hear it.
We discuss how AI platforms like ChatGPT and Perplexity are actively extracting your schema data to answer searchers directly. If grieving families start bypassing the traditional search results page entirely, if they just pick up their phone and ask their AI voice assistant to find the most trusted funeral director near me, what happens to all the businesses that only optimize their visual storefront but ignored the structured data underneath?
That is the multi-million-dollar question right there. Because if you haven't built those clear, structured signposts deep in your code, well, you're just another hidden trail in that dark forest. You need to be the beacon that cuts through the noise exactly when they need you most. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. I'll see you next time.